Hi, Todd Pouliot, Gateway Financial. Again, mygatewaymoney.com. Again, we've got a wonderful checklist as usual. What we've grown to learn from your responses is these are great. We love them, but just wanted to throw out there that we now have them interactive. So we can email you a checklist with a link specific to you, and all the yes no questions can be handled right there for you. So we appreciate some feedback, and we got a wonderful today on also a very complicated issue. Incentive stock options. Sometimes we just say ISOs, but incentive stock options, it's a form of equity compensation offering employees a share and the potential appreciation of a company's value with preferential tax treatment. Many of our clients have been or will be granted ISOs by their employer throughout their careers, and deciding whether to exercise these ISOs can be difficult and requires cash flow planning, complex tax planning, and a long-term strategy. So today we're going to go through 5 different areas within this. Issues to consider at grant, implications of exercise, including early exercise and post-vesting. We're going to look at the tax considerations, 83B election. Again, as always, really work with a qualified CPA or tax preparer. Share ownership and sales strategies, and concentration and other risks, which again, I've done a couple personal videos, and obviously if you've read my LinkedIn profile and some other areas on my site, you'll understand why those type of things matter to me and why I do what I do for a living in financial planning and tax planning. Hope you're enjoying this one. Again, very complicated issue. Make sure your advisor and tax planner and tax prep person all work together on these plans. And this tax season, I love getting to have our CPA that we have in the office here and challenging him on some things and saying, hey, wait a minute, I really thought this might be a better way. Not all CPAs can sit down and run through each and every item and make sure they get 100% of those returns correct. Make sure somebody is there to challenge them, whether or not it's you or your financial advisor. And I think these interactive checklists are a great way to do that. And obviously we can't do that on YouTube, but we can send you an email with a particular checklist that you'd like. Grant issues. Do you need help understanding the options granted to you? Boy, if that's a yes, we really definitely need to talk about what those mean and those relevant forms, and working with HR about how those tax or those incentive stock options or ISOs are granted. Determining the tax implications of grant. There are no regular AMT income tax consequences at grant, but we do need to know the information. Do you have a vesting schedule? Monitor the expiration of relevant time periods. Those are things that I often see missed when working with clients, is they don't know that schedule. And if they have an early exercise feature, and weigh the advantages and risks of exercising prior to vesting. Maybe the company's not doing as well as you thought it would. So maybe you need some diversification issues, several issues of why you might do that. Do you need to review how termination of your employment, voluntary or involuntary, disability, death might affect your interest? I'm finding that the younger generations, millennial, Gen Z, are becoming much more fluid in their jobs. So understanding, hey, I've worked for this company. What do I do if I do leave voluntarily? And what happens if I leave involuntarily? Be aware of the rights as the employee and as an ex-employee for any foreseeable changes. Exercise issues, and we're not talking about going to the gym, we're talking about exercising the rights of those stocks. And do you need help determining the value of your interests? So you want to look at the stock's current fair market value, or FMV, to assess whether your options are in the money or underwater. I've also done flow chart on this. You can look at that video, but we want to make sure we understand the bargain element opportunity of any share in the stock's appreciation, and look at the stock company's dividend policy and potential tax benefits. Factor in a discount of the underlying shares that are not marketable. Do you need to assess your company's and future equity value and long-term viability? These are not things that we like to think about, but understanding what does the company look like. And obviously, if you're getting stock shares, hopefully you have some good insight into how your company's doing overall financially. Also want to make sure, do you need to confirm the status of your ISOs? IRC 83I election. Make sure you understand those. Make sure that your tax preparer has everything set for you. Make sure your financial advisor makes sure that you have everything done so you don't lose the incentive stock option status. Very important issue that most people forget how to do, especially when you're young and you don't know how to ask all these questions. Ask for advice. Do you need help determining the income tax implications? There are no regular tax consequences at exercise. And if you dispose of the stock in the same year as exercise, there are no AMT, alternative minimum tax consequences. And if you hold the stock throughout the tax year of exercise, the bargain element, that's the spread between the exercise price and fair market value at exercise price, it is subject to AMT and is a preference item in the year of exercise. Again, these are a lot of deep conversations that you want to make sure you have experts in the room. Are you permitted to exercise early and purchase stock before vesting? Great opportunities here. There's no regular tax consequences at exercise, but AMT will be due on the bargain element. So understand those. And again, here we are with that 83B election. Make sure that's filed with the IRS, and be mindful that no more than $100,000 in share value of options that first become exercisable in a given year can qualify for ISO treatment. This limit is cumulative, so an early exercise feature could run the risk of the non-qualified stock option treatment by the IRS in excess of that $100,000 amount. Very important. And again, I've also done a flow chart on non-qualified stock options already. Again, do you lack the funds necessary to exercise, to do cash exercise? Consider whether there's viable or favorable alternatives. Borrowing, cashless exercise, or a stock swap. Be aware of the tax consequences of these strategies, which could result in a disqualifying disposition. Major error, major no-no there. Make sure you understand when you're doing these exercises how much cash flow and fluidity you need. You do not want a disqualifying disposition. Do you want flexibility to avoid double taxation in the event you choose to sell within 1 year of exercise? Make sure you understand avoiding that disqualifying disposition in the same calendar year to avoid AMT. I will say over the years, I'm seeing much less AMT on tax returns, but 2025, we're guaranteed to have tax law changes. We may have them sooner. So be aware of what today's rules are and what is potentially on the table for those tax rules. Share ownership and sale of stock. Does your company require pre-clearance or have a blackout or window periods that might affect your ability to trade your shares? Understand those, why they are important. I want to take an action, but I'm unable to take that action. Do you own unvested shares due to early exercise? Do you need help understanding the tax consequences, the sale of shares acquired through your options? Again, a qualifying disposition is a sale more than 2 years after that grant date and more than 1 year after the date of transfer of the stock upon exercise. Any given receives favorable long-term capital gains treatment and the spread between the exercise price and the stock sale price. We want to make sure we take advantage of those long-term capital gains treatments rather than paying income tax rates. Very important there. Make sure you understand all the rules. And do you need help tracking your regular tax basis, AMT basis, and your minimum tax credit? Boy, we have a lot of forms that we need to make sure we have updated. Again, make sure, much like we do, we have our CPA that we work with very closely. I can get up out of my desk and go ask these questions. And all these miscellaneous issues. Do you need to increase your withholdings beyond your standard employer holdings for estimated tax payments on your options? Do you need to evaluate your stock position? Do you need to plan to mitigate concentration risk? This is why this is so important to me, because my parents didn't understand concentration risk. And when the company folded due to embezzlement within the company, boy, that was a terrible effect it had on the entire family. So concentration is a big risk. We want to make sure that we have the right asset allocation, the right asset location, and we adjust as those things change. Is the benefit of waiting to make qualified dispositions greater than the risk of a price decline while holding those shares? Boy, phenomenal if we had a crystal ball and we could look forward and see what that share price would be a year from the day you want to make these decisions. But we don't have that crystal ball, which is why that concentration and asset allocation is so important. Is there a risk to your company will be acquired within the next 2 years? Has happened when I've been working with clients and, hey, we think we're getting bought out. That causes a lot of stress, not only on the employment and will I have a job, but what's going to happen to those stocks that are out there and the value of those stocks. And you need help factoring in the risk of a stock price decline when considering whether to exercise, take the 83B election for AMT purposes. Do you need to address options in your estate plan or any pending divorce? These are all very deep questions that you need to make sure you have answers to before they happen. Any state-specific issues that are considering with your stock options, and any future goals that you could help to achieve. Integrate an exercise and sales strategy into your overall plan in coordination with your income and saving strategy. So again, thank you for coming back for this checklist. Again, down here at the bottom, you can see our contact information. We can now email you these checklists. This way you have them in your email and you click on what issues that you need to really be worried about. You can make notes on, and we appreciate you all giving us that advice to turn these into interactive checklists. So feel free to email me here. Feel free to go to our website, mygatewaymoney.com. We much appreciate every thumbs up. It really helps us with the algorithm, and all those shares and likes and subscribes really mean a lot to us. We appreciate you coming back. We love that you've taken us and helped us evolve to the next level and having these checklists shareable. But when you're talking about incentive stock options, this is extremely boring, extremely complicated, and things most likely people come to us for and say, hey, listen, I don't understand what's going on. Can you explain it to me? Especially if it's the first time you've ever had incentive stock options in your career. And hopefully you'll keep getting those rewards from your employer and take ownership as an owner of the company by those shares of incentive stock options. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing, ringing that bell to be notified when we bring you more great content. You all have a great day.